Hey everyone, come once again, and welcome back to the next movie review for Halloween month of October. And well, finally, getting to a horror film of this month that I enjoy. So it's not a rant. Okay. I said I would. I said there'd be a couple ones that I enjoy. So here we go. Okay. I know. It's been a full month of ranting and raving. But you know what? It's more as I say. Yeah, they're rants, but you know what? It's fun to do, right? Because I could just let out all the negativity I feel about those films. But I do. There was a couple that I do and I'm doing that I did enjoy though. So and this one's from 2014, and it's a found footage film. And then I think, in my opinion, this is one of the more underrated found footage movies because I enjoy the concept, the location, and so I'll be reviewing is of the 2014 found footage film As Above, So Below, which the title does fit. It does live up to its title because the only way out is down, basically. You have to go down in order to go back up above. So yeah, the title does fit, As Above, So Below, and the only way out is down. So yeah, so As Above, So Below, like I said, it's a 2014 found footage horror film. And this is also, because Legend. This is the first film that Universal Pictures, they made a deal. They made a deal with Legendary Pictures, because Legendary Pictures, they were before this they were there, which they are still working with. They work with Warner Brothers. Legendary Pictures was. They did films like the Godzilla films, which they still are today. They're still working. Warner Brothers is still working with Legendary Pictures. Like the new Godzilla movies, they did with films like the Hangover films, like the Hangover films like Due Date or Pacific Rim, which by the sequel Pacific Rim Uprising, that's when it's Universal Pictures. Legendary Pictures is with Universal. But so this is their first first film that Legendary has to do with Universal Pictures. So this is their first film working together on this, which they go on to do with Jurassic World, then Fallen Kingdom, and I think by the time Dominion came around, they were no longer Universal was no longer working with Legendary, so that's why they went back to Warner Brothers. But regardless, so yeah, this is their first collaboration together on this film. And like I said, I enjoy this. I think to me, I think this is one of the more underrated found footage films because, like I said, I enjoy the location of the film, the concept of it, and I like the cast. I thought the characters were likable for me, compared to a lot of some stupid dumb characters in other found footage films. And we speak about dumb characters because what's mind-boggling to me, because this film is directed by John Erick Dowdle. This is the same guy who directed Quarantine, which I did not like. He also directed Devil, which another one I did not like. That was one he M. Night Shyamalan, Good Night Emelon, produced with him. I did not like Devil, and especially I did not like Quarantine. And he also directed the film called Poughkeepsie Tapes, which frankly, I just don't give a shit to watch, So, but then he did also do that action thriller film, No Escape, with Owen Wilson and Pierce Bronson. But this guy, what I've enjoyed from this film, this is from the same guy who directed Quarantine, which, let's say, that featured a lot of dumb characters. A lot of dumb characters in that movie. I hated Quarantine. But this same guy, I don't know what was up, because this guy just did a complete 180 from a shitty found footage from like Quarantine to basically to this one that I enjoyed. Now this film did not do well with critics. It's a 29% Rotten Tomatoes, but it does have a 6.3 on IMDb. At least that got a higher rating on IMDb than Quarantine did, which that got like a 6.0 on IMDb for, I think it still is though, which I don't get though. So at least this got a higher rating than Quarantine did. And the film did make a little bit of money when it came out. It made about, let's see, about 41 million worldwide, and a budget to be like 5 or 10 million. So it did make money, because with found footage films, it doesn't take much, when with basically low budget, it doesn't take much to make a profit, you know. But overall, yeah, I think this the found footage film that I thought it did well, and I alone did right. Like I said, this is just me praising this coming from the guy who did Quarantine. I just don't get it though. I mean, he did that way he did wrong in that movie. I think he just did right with this movie. But and compared to Quarantine, this did not end on a downbeat ending. It didn't. Thank God for, you know. Well, because a lot of found footage don't end on, always have such a tragic ending or downbeat ending. But there's been a few films that I liked that didn't have a downbeat ending. Exist, the Bigfoot movie, that didn't have a downbeat ending, or St. Francisville Experiment, that didn't have a downbeat ending. So at least I'm glad this didn't have a downbeat ending with it. And I do like, it's like I especially one of the things I enjoy, because I like the location this film was shot in. It takes place in the catacombs underneath the streets of Paris, which I think they did shoot on actual locations, but I think they had to get permission to shoot a little bit of the catacombs. So if they did, I did feel like the little bit of the authenticity of showing the actual catacombs of Paris, because I think they had to get permission to shoot in the actual catacombs, because I think no one's I don't think it's not a tourist attraction, because people, I guess, fiddle around or get lost in there. So they had to get permission. So if they shoot like some of the actual catacombs, I do feel like I do appreciate, because I do feel like the real authenticity of seeing the actual bones of the catacombs. So that was very nice. It's very nice to see. That's one of the things that appealed to me about it. And especially I like the poster of this, which it fits the title well. I do like the poster, because the only way up is down. I do enjoy and just for the sake of it, just to shoot here's the reverse on, for the Eiffel Tower. But I like the poster of this. I do. And I like the cast. I thought that the cast did a good job. Like the lead played by Perdita Weeks. And then the guy who plays her, well, I think they had a thing, but I think they kind of get back together. Ben Feldman, and then I recognize the camera guy right here, Edwin Hodge. He's the guy who was the homeless guy from the first Purge movie. You know, how the people were after and they led him to his house. And then he will later appear in the next two sequels, Anarchy and Election Year. And so he's the camera guy in this. And the guy Ben Feldman, I forgot that this is the guy. That's him right there, if you can see. He was in the 2009 Friday the 13th remake. He was in the beginning where he was, doing his girlfriend in the tent, right? And then he gets his leg caught in a bear trap. And that's when Jason just slams his machete down directly in the middle of his face, on his head. Yeah, that's him from the beginning of 2009 Friday the 13th. I don't know much about the lead girl though, but I think she did a good job as well. And same with Ben Feldman, Edwin Hodge as well. But the whole concept is that our lead girl, she has this she has a lot of guilt, because she has a hard time letting go of the death of her father, right? And so, who was an archaeologist, and that was his passion, so she kind of did that as well, wanted to carry on his passion of archaeology. And one thing I also know that I liked about it, this does become a bit like a little bit of an adventure in a horror film. Like a la, like, say, like Indiana Jones or Lara Croft, right? Except she become be like Lara Croft without the guns, though, but... So I do like that also, that little ingest into this found footage horror film. A little bit of a adventure, a little bit a la of Indiana Jones and Lara Croft in a way. But But him and he gets with his ex-boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, who I do like that he kind of is a job of fixing bells, like church bells and stuff, right? She's here to look for the Philosopher's Stone, which covers in the ultimate in the in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first movie, the ultimate title was called the Philosopher's Stone, not the Sorcerer's Stone. So I was like, okay. But that's what she's looking for, the Philosopher's Stone, and it kind of has like that power, kind of like it can turn like silver to gold or bronze to gold. Some of the mystic powers. So she and the camera guy Edwin Hodge, and I think another guy that goes with them. They go to Paris, and they believe it's in the catacombs on the streets, in the catacombs in the streets underneath Paris. And like I said, I thought it played the whole. I like the whole concept location that it showed up for like the wherever they filmed it for the little bits of the real catacombs they have. I do appreciate the little bit of giving the authenticity of showing the actual bones of the catacombs. And while they're down there, I do like the fact it does play the whole thing of give up that the whole thing of this while looking for the stone, and there is actual treasure, gold and stuff down there. I did the whole thing. It plays on their minds, like playing mind tricks with their heads, in their like playing off like their fears or their inner demons, their pain or their guilt, whatever. I like it. It plays off of those and ends up fucking with our minds basically, because I do like the fact that there's a point where they end up kind of like going in a circle, but they end up right back to where they were, and I'm like, how come we end up back where we were when we were going straight this way, but end up back where we were, Or I like the fact there was they ended up in a room and it's actually a reflection basically where they're in the same room but everything is is reversed. Like if like something was right here and they're in this reverse room, that person is right on this side of the room instead. So I do like it does kind of play on their making them see things like that. I do like the aspect of that. Or like the people's fears, right? Especially like this part right here where Edwin Hodge is stuck, right? Get that little bit of claustrophobic feel to it where he's stuck in between all the bones and he's stuck. He can't move, and like there's like noises right behind him, and he's panicking, which of course anyone who's claustrophobic would be, right? So like my dad, because my dad's claustrophobic, so he nowhere near. Don't bother asking him. No way. My dad's claustrophobic, so bring up this subject, no way. So, but I do like the fact that it does take on that claustrophobic feel to it, which, if anyone who is claustrophobic, you definitely feel the panic in your body, trying to squirm your way out of there, right? Or, like, one of the guys that's with them, like, there where they see a car that's on fire, right? And one of the fears because there was someone that was burning the car, and he's like, "Oh no, I shouldn't have let him in there." And then he ends up getting pulled into the fire. So it plays on your fears as well, and then until it kills you, basically. Or with the lead girl, like she sees a piano, and it's like, "Oh, it's like the same piano I used to play, right?" And it has the exact same one of the keys is missing, and the exact same note that's missing. Or later, when Ben Feldman, later he recalls of his brother drowning, right? And he come across a puddle of water, and he sees his brother like this, hey! And she's trying to, and I think that Perdita Weeks, or her character's name is Scarlet, I think. She's like, no, don't, it's a trick, he's not really there. Or of course, when they do find the stone, which does have some mystic power to it, because like there's a burn mark, right? And they put it like this, and it goes away. And then, or when the girl has to face her fears, right? Because she has to like let go of the guilt of her father's death, right? Because like the guilt of not being able to pick up the phone and telling him, and she has to let go of that, to overcome it. Or, and like the title suggests, the only way out they had to get out is to go down. Because they go down, And this work where the guy gets dead, and Edwin Hodge, he dies, and so, and then the girl, like this scene right here, where she ends up in this butt of bloody black water, that kind of like thick as blood, basically like this. It's like ooh. So like, it plays on that part right there, and I just like this whole journey. Like let's say it kind of it's like it kind of takes place a little bit Indiana Jones or Lara Croft, that adventure aspect, and put into a found footage horror film, and then it take on playing on mind games, right? Which kind of also reminds me of Event Horizon, which I enjoy. I think that's another underrated film from Paul W.S. Anderson, his film with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill, where it's a haunted house, but in outer space, where basically the ship is alive and it plays on your fears, right? Like with Kathleen Kathleen Quinlan, with the image of seeing her son, right, and she falls to her death, or with Sam Neill's character, we were dealing with the death of his wife. And also they did playing on your fears was trying to do as well, and I love Event Horizon. That's an underrated film for me, so I do like it takes a little bits of aspects of that as well, your fears and stuff like that. And it doesn't end on a downbeat ending. They both get out, because by the time they're going down, they end up coming out of the manhole back into the streets of Paris. So I do like that they do escape. Perdita Weeks and Ben Fallon, they get out of there. So yeah, and for I remember, they got the stone, so they win. Sadly, the other friends didn't make it though, but both of them, they got out there and they won basically. So yeah, it's a found footage film, like with a great location. I enjoy the great concept, good cast, especially the two leads. The whole take on the playing on your fears, your guilt, pain, or facing your demons. Messing with your mind, and not a downbeat ending. They get out of there. So I think I disagree with the critics think of this. I don't think it's not 29% Rotten Tomatoes. Definitely a lot better than a lot of the found footage films that I've seen. Like I said, Quarantine, that was shit. I know there's more. I hate when I do this when I can't think of this right at the top of my head even though I've seen it right. But like I said, I think it's one of the better found footage films. Like it's definitely on my list along with Exist. Blair Witch Project is always gonna be the best one. I'm sure many people will say that though. But to me, I will say too though. Blair Witch Project will always be the best one. And ones I enjoy, like The Tunnel. It's an Australian film called The Tunnel. I like that film, but I think it's a really good one as well. Exist, this film. But this film I really enjoy. I think this is one of the more underrated found footage films. The St. Francisville Experiment I also enjoyed as well. If this be like a top 5 favorite found footage movies, I think this would be my top 5, because I know Blair Witch Project is always gonna be number 1. Like I said, The Tunnel, this movie, The St. Francisville Experiment, Exists. Definitely better than those found footage Bigfoot movies, like, well, what was it, the Lost Coast tapes, or I think it was one that was just called Bigfoot. But yeah, but definitely, I know there's I've seen found footage horror films. I know Quarantine, that just keeps straight to the top because it's from the same director. Easily better than that movie. But yeah, As Above, So Below, definitely I would say underrated found footage horror film. A little bit of adventure aspect to it. A little bit a la Indiana Jones or Lara Croft, and a little bit of like the ideas like Event Horizon, stuff like that. But yeah, As Above, So Below, and the title fits, and I thought the poster is cool looking with the red and all that. And cast was good as well, you know, especially the two leads. So yeah, but thanks for watching and stay tuned for more for Halloween month. And like I said, hey, it's not a rant, like I said. It's a film that I really enjoyed. And by the time this month ends, there's gonna be a couple more. I'm gonna end on a good note because, like I said, I usually do. There's a couple more movies that I like. I'm gonna end on those. So I'm not gonna end on a sour note or a shitty note. So I'm gonna end on a couple of good more movie reviews. So stay tuned for those. But I have a couple more rants to go through. But I just want to get at least one good one out of the way first to keep you guys interested. It's like, oh no, another rant. Well, there's gonna be a couple more, and then we'll get to the ending of the last good ones. So, but thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more later.